Hey everybody, welcome to the Wombo Podcast. I am your host, Mr. Gimpy, and that over there is Chipped Monk, as always. What's going on, brother?
Uh-oh, what's happening, bro? I'm just chilling. Yeah. You gave me like a little like Scooby-Doo intro there. I noticed it. So I was not going to call you out on that.
I would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for this meddling chipmunk.
That's right, bro. Everything's, going great over here, bro. I was thinking like your side. You ask a lot of questions, man. You write a book about it? What's up?
I'm using reporter tactics to have these.
Lull me into a false sense of confidence, and then hit me with a hard hitting.
Barbara Walter, dude. Straight up, everyone's gonna start crying. And no, man, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. The like we spoke last week on just kind of the excitement for getting back into game dev and stuff. I as I've said, just work life has ramped up a bit, especially last week. So again, progress for me is slow, but it's still moving,
Nice.
So, good progress, because I feel progress never stops unless you completely move it out of your life, right?
Yeah.
So like I may have not sat down to code anything, but I've written down like how I want a boss to interact with the level and stuff. Just wrote down those ideas and stuff.
At this point as well, like it just seems like this shit's just part of our life now. Like it's
just like getting away. Yeah.
No, like just being a creative, being like interested in games and game development. I feel like I don't know if that's something that's gonna go away for us ever. Like if we made it this far, it's like I don't know if this is. I don't think it goes away,
it's
boys.
Not a passive fancy.
Yeah. Doesn't seem like a fly-by night.
A little bit in game dev today.
Yeah.
It's
for the last,
yeah, for sure.
For the last decade, I'm just going to dabble a bit.
Yeah. We mentioned last week that I found like my old like coding books, Dark Basic and stuff like that. My parents were cleaning stuff out of their house too, and the old family computer was like moved out, and my dad's like, hey, where the fuck can I get rid of this thing? I kind of want that hard drive because there's going to be some old stuff that I worked on there,
cryptocurrency.
Thinking about it, but I'm trying to remember why the family computer, that one in particular, stopped working, and I'm 90% sure it was virus related, so I don't want to like connect it to my shit and just maybe I'll do it in a VM or something if I do decide to do that.
Go diving.
Yeah. So I ordered one of those like things that just plug into the USB and you just pop a hard drive on it, like a dock. I ordered a dock, so
nice.
I think I'll use my parents' like Chromebook just to plug that into the dock, make sure it's not covered in garbage, and we'll see.
Hopefully as well, like for viruses, like keep updating like the antivirus where so maybe it's like something that was like kneecapping, 5 years ago, but now it's like nothing,
Part of it with that computer too was that was the first computer that I've ever built, and my dad and I built it together. And as I got older, I realized the problem because we had it was built for no. It was built for Doom 3, right? It was built to run Doom 3 on the highest settings back in when Doom 3 first launched. The reason that we had issues was we cheaped out on the power supply, so the power supply was too low for the max draw for the card.
So it was the power supply, right? I feel like I've done that like on two different computer builds that I've been a party to, where they're like, "Oh, let me get the cheapest power supply." I'm like, "Well, you're putting like a $600 graphics card in there," and they're like, "Yeah, whatever."
That is 100% what happened, because I remember the conversation exactly. My dad and I were at Micro Center. We were grabbing all the parts or whatever. The Radeon card we got was like the top of the line at the time, and my dad is all like, "Well, we got this. We got a good." And then he even like had an expensive motherboard, right? So you have an expensive motherboard, you have an expensive graphics card, and then you cheap out on the power supply. Like,
every time,
there's a disconnect. So it's a 450 watt power supply, and that one required a minimum of I think 600 or something like that. It was like a 650. So I think that computer would still work if I just pop in like a power supply I have in the back. Just but that thing's like near 20 years old now, so yeah.
It's what would you use it for,
Exactly. There's nothing. But that was my first build ever. And you learn things as
Yeah.
you go on. So yeah, right now I just want to look at the hard drive and see what's there. Um, just for like we said, nostalgia.
Stroll down memory lane, see what's
Exactly.
going on with that.
Exactly. Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. I gotta say, man, everything about the solo journey for game design has been a little easier though.
Yeah.
Lately.
Older. You're wiser.
Older, just a little more. I want to say, I can buckle down easier and know exactly, and I'm not getting distracted by other shit happening. Because when you're, I'd say when I was in my 20s, like there's definitely like fear of missing out for things. It's like, hey, what are you doing, Scott? Oh, I'm trying to do some game dev right now. Ah, fuck that. Let's go out and have a beer. Okay,
yeah.
Have a beer.
Dude, honestly, like if somebody had called me up and they're like, "Hey man, let's go have a beer," I'm like, "Yeah, all right." I'm instantly dropping things now. Like,
right. For sure.
I feel like everybody else is like just simmered on down though as well.
Yeah.
Like, it's just how life goes sometimes. But yeah, I think there's definitely something about being able to like just sit for like a concentrated period of time as well. Like, I think work, like just having a career that you've been working at now, like helps with that as well. Like,
true.
Whereas like you're younger, like I feel like most of the jobs you have are like you're on your feet all day as well. And like the last thing you want to do is like try and challenge yourself mentally when you get home. You're like, I'm trying to relax, have a good time. It's part of it, man. So
it's very true,
getting
man.
Older.
It's it's everyone's like, oh god, Father Time is coming to attack me. It's not all bad, There's definite stuff coming up, and I was looking. I was like, oh yeah, my birthday's coming up next month. I'll be turning 33, and I'm like looking back a little bit, and I'm going, yeah, no, this is better than I thought it'd be. When I was younger, in my early 30s.
Everything just keeps getting better. Like
dude,
it's amazing.
So I just have to complete the game dev. I was looking too, man, and I've pretty much accomplished all of my goals in life.
You did it, man. We won. Before. Yeah, we're sitting here having a novel podcast just about things that only we care about, dude. For like basically us, dude. Like this is it. We popped the champagne, dude. It's over. We won.
Right. So it's a great feeling to have when you realize it, but then it's like you like for me, it's like, what's next? What else can you do? It's like I always have something to keep me going. Whether it's being competitive in something or game dev or movies, editing, stuff like that. Something to always keep me going. I always have to stay busy. There's never a time where I'm just sitting around doing nothing. There's always something else going on in the head. So we'll see. I think it's.
I've been trying to just learn to just be more calm about stuff as well. Not always be like on that 100% go.
Yeah.
So for the last few years, I've just been trying to like learn to enjoy what I have. And like that's been a process. I think I'm basically there. Like I'm really appreciative of like where I'm at, where everything I've accomplished and everything. So it's like it's learning to be happy with what I have instead of like longing for like any like material thing or some nonsense where I'm like, oh, if only I had like a bigger, better XYZ. It's like, oh, I'm good, man. Just be happy with what you got and and learn to enjoy what you have to. So I don't know. It's part of that, but then like there's part of me that also like wants to learn new things always. And I spent like a pretty good amount of time just trying to learn new stuff. And then after that, I'm like, all right, now it's time to get into like fiction. So now I've just been like trying to enjoy like fantasy and like trashy web novels and like all this stuff because I've spent so much time like learning from the classics and like nonfiction books, like your Mathematicas and your lectures and like they got all those courses online. They got the Open Harvard, they got Open Yale courses. They're all on there. You can sit in on a college course, whatever you want for free. So
true.
After you've like just like figured out like just hearing different things, different points of view and stuff, you're like, all right, I'm good. Like,
sometimes you just want to read trash. Like let's be
sometimes it's time to go dumpster diving.
Exactly. I get it, dude. I get it. I think for me, like one of the big joys outside of gaming and stuff is was just reading in general. Like like I'm a big horror fan, as people who've listened to the pod and yourself know. So I read a lot of like horror book releases per year, and then it stopped. Like I think last year I didn't read any book at
Start
all.
living it,
It
dude.
was zero. Yeah, exactly, exactly. So there's like a couple that I've bought that I haven't read yet, just like short novellas and stuff. So I'll probably read those, and a lot of the times like people forget about like print media, like for entertainment.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, there's nothing to do, there's nothing to play. Like we talked about comic books quite a bit, and I do read comics and stuff. Yeah, I guess. Well, let's say I read a bunch of comics over the past year, but like just traditional book,
Yeah.
and I think that gets dropped by the wayside. Like the only thing that comes up are like these teen chosen one stories, where
Yeah.
you're
The
fighting
young
the
adult.
government or whatever, young adult novels. There's other shit out
Yaoi.
there, man. There's yaoi.
Young adult
There's
romance novels or whatever.
there's always something else there. And like the Ready Player One movie. I read the book a while back, and then the movie came out, so I was excited. And I was one of those people who were like, "Man, I liked the book better." I'm like, "Son of a bitch!" like
You're that
like
guy.
something about reading books versus
So your
seeing
imagination has
movies.
no budget, bro.
Yeah,
So
that's
I
probably it.
went into the dark web of archive.org.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, that's
and,
a
uh,
that's a journey.
and apparently they decided to get into the semi bootlegging business because like I had
They have abandonware, so it's
uh
gray.
I'm in the gray web then. I haven't gone full dark web. We're
Sure.
So anyway, I was like, I finished that one game last week, and then I was like, I kind of hit like a creative block where I was like, I don't want to work on shit for a while. Uh, and like I got home and like I went from vacation back to work, and I was like just exhausted by the time I got home. I was like, oh man, I don't want to do shit. I just kind of want to like just sit around.
Yeah.
And then I saw some art books. It was like the Breath of Fire art book, and I was like, oh damn, let me go look that up on Amazon, and so I could type it into the Googles because I'm not going directly to Amazon. So I was like, maybe there's a cheaper deal. Maybe there's a cheaper deal. It gives you all the shops, and I found the cheapest deal on archive.org.
Archive.org. Just download that PDF.
Yeah, no, it was like all the Square Enix books. It's like stuff, all the art books that didn't come out in America. So it's like all Square Enix, all Capcom. I like download like like 10, 15 gigs of just art books, and I started like just looking through different art books for game stuff. So this is interesting, man.
There's something to be said about that old Capcom, old Square Enix style, right? That they really don't do anymore. I do miss that style.
Bro,
Where
like they were just guessing, bro. Like I'm looking at these art books, they're making shit out of like clay. They're using like miniature models of like mechs and stuff that they're building out like
really
on plastic.
okay.
They did like arts and crafts. They did like just like sculptures like on like just wire and like beads on like black cardboard, and they take a picture of it and they're like, figure out this, make this a monster, I guess. So yeah, it's incredible to see like just the different processes, because like they don't teach you that anywhere. I feel like, I don't know, maybe like game design school or art school maybe is different, but like I don't think they teach you like the old school methods of like how to think in design. So
Yeah.
a lot of like storyboarding stuff, they would like storyboard like beat for beat like scenes from the game. There was a lot of just like sketches of just like general atmosphere. Like
Hmm.
it was interesting. A lot
This
of
was
grid paper.
Breath of Fire. You said,
All of like
or just all of it?
look
Okay.
through Breath of Fire. There was a Shining Force. I think that's the one where they're using clay. I think they also use some clay stuff in that other really big franchise,
Dragon Quest
Dragon Quest. Yeah,
slash
I want to
Dragon
say
Warrior.
Dragon Warrior.
It's
Yeah,
the same. It's the same. They
I think the
like
old one, Dragon Warrior, is what I was thinking. Where they're using, but it was all in Japanese, so it's
yeah,
your guess is
yes,
as good as mine.
for sure, for sure. That's
uh,
hey man.
yeah, I mean, like
That's
Doom notoriously use like clay
yep,
miniatures that they take pictures of, the
yep,
rotoscoping
yep.
stuff.
Uh,
But
Mortal Kombat as
basically,
well. Goro
yeah,
is clay. Yeah, yeah, man.
basically you want grid paper and then like storyboard paper. Like it, if you could like storyboard out beats and like design your characters on grid paper, like you're good. Like I
Yeah.
don't think much has changed except maybe like you do it all digitally now instead of like buying actual
When
grid
I
paper and
when I'm
storyboarding.
working on 2D level design, I actually do use grid paper. I draw it out first.
Yeah.
So something
Like
to
I
be said
said, I
about
feel like
that. Yeah.
everyone comes to like the same conclusion. Like it's so much more simpler or easier. But
Yeah.
it was wild to see a lot of that stuff. And then I know like a lot of newer studios will CGI like gameplay, not to sell at E3, but some of them do that. But to like
Yeah.
sell their studio on the concept where they'll like CGI out like the main gameplay loop, where they'll
Yeah.
take either 3D models or like 2D, sprites, and then they'll show like what they want. Like they'll just go into a video editing software and like edit it out, and they're like, and this is like what the main gameplay loop is because it's easier to have like a meeting with like a big team of people. But I've done the same thing for game jams where I was trying to explain something to the professor, and I was like, let me just make a quick CGI video of what I'm talking about. So that way you can like see exactly what I mean here. And like I
Yeah.
showed him that and he was like, oh, okay, yeah, we can do that. So
Yeah. Yeah. I think at the end of the day, like talking to you about this, and we just need to do a game jam again, dude. I think that's like
uh,
the
I
main thing,
started
right?
I started looking, man, because I was burnt out. So I was like, oh, let me read some art books. Let me try and get some inspirado.
Yeah.
I was like reading some mangas, looking at old art books, and like I started one project I want to do that's like a longer term project, but
Okay.
really struggling with the grind, the motivation. Cause like
Mm.
I literally just laid it out like on a spreadsheet. I was like, all right, if I do like, this many hours a day, like it's going to take me about 35 days to complete. And I'm
Okay.
like, man, I don't know if I want to, that's a lot of my free time just spent on this one thing. And it's
Yeah.
like, nobody's going to care about it but me as well. And like, it's like there's like zero market for what I would be doing. It's
Sure.
like,
Sure.
like the gameplay loop that I have is like make a dollhouse basically. It's like where you like create like a 3D space, and then like you build out like a little house, and that's it. That's like there's nothing else. There's no materials. There's no survival mechanics. There's no enemies. There's no NPCs.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
but it would just be for me to sit down and make like a bunch of assets because like that's all you're really doing is like
And
making
just
like
connecting them together,
yeah,
then. Like,
yeah,
okay.
making modular assets that you can stack together. So I'm basically building out asset packs for myself to use later on. And like the game front is just an excuse to like get the motivation to do that.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know. It's like you can't trick me. Like I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to get me to work on something long term. So
That's funny. That's
yeah,
funny. Yeah.
but
No, I mean, yeah, that does sound like a good challenge though. On top of it,
yeah.
because I mean, what's the most tedious part of game dev, right? Like asset creation for sure.
Definitely is.
Yeah.
And like
So
that was another big problem I've always run into when doing game jams with everybody. It's like they're like, now turn out a bunch of art really fast. I'm like, fuck, I don't work that fast, boys. You get to I'm gonna try, but it's not gonna be like great work, but it'll be something. I think that was
yeah,
the other inspiring thing about going back and looking at those old art books as well.
yeah,
These guys sucked at art, dude. Like they are fucking trash. Like just compared to like because like they didn't have the internet. So it was like you found the
yeah,
dude who could draw the best that you knew, and like, all right, you're the head art director now. And
yeah,
like looking back at like that art, I'm like, man, like everything's kind of fucky. Like the proportions are bad, like the art's really bad. Like, but it's good enough. Like you understand like what they're going for, and like when you translate
yeah,
that like sketch into a sprite, like
yeah.
you add like more charm and stuff. But
Well, too, if you go back to like the Atari days too, it was all programmer art that just ended up being the real game.
yeah,
So like not only the limitations of the Atari 2600, but just in general, like did you go back and look at anything from that era for like art books?
yeah. I got like the Art of Atari. That book was on there. So
Okay,
it's like all
yeah,
the
yeah. It's just
it shows like the beautiful like thing that they sell you on the box, and then it shows like the game next to it, and you're like, this is perfect.
yeah. A
Like
lot
how
of the
they
time
laid
they
out
would
this book.
get the same people who made fantasy book covers. They would get that for like games. So
Yeah.
like what Adventure, I think, or whatever, had like the craziest fantasy art cover. I think it was Adventure. It might not have been, but I remember one. Or maybe it was Pitfall. I don't know,
I feel like
whichever
when they
one.
ship for like Mega Man, like the OG
Oh
Mega
yes, yes,
Man,
OG Mega Man for sure, for
the
sure.
NES art cover, you're like, what is this? They just found some fantasy artist. They're like, here you go.
Exactly.
Swords and serpents, like
The EA early EA games when they were swords and sorcery focused for their Genesis games all had like this Fabio cover
yeah.
of fantasy art.
Let's be real, it's your mom buying
Conan
the game,
Barbarian
dude. Like they
stuff.
know what they're doing.
Jeez, right? For sure, for sure. That's funny. Yeah, dude. So for your own game dev stuff, you shared with me some stuff you're working on
Yeah, that was what I
lately.
started working on yesterday. Because that was like another thing that kind of came to the conclusion of where I was like, I don't know, like doing like little bite-sized chunks. I was like, I really like just sitting down and like grinding something out for like I was working on that like pretty much all day yesterday, and like it's just like a simple snake clone, and I got that up and running in about 10 minutes because I
Yeah.
just followed along. Like somebody had like a different tutorial on it. I was like, yeah, all right, this is pretty simple though. So I got that running, and then I was like, all right, here's what I want to do. I want to make it where it's like a match 3 game where you pick up a little food and it like adds that to the snake. And then if you get 3 of the same color of that, it deletes that part of the snake. And that's where everything started falling apart for me, man. Like, uh, so
There's
yeah,
what you're doing actually is something that a lot of the game engines that haven't built in tutorials and stuff encourage you to do. Do a tutorial, figure it out, understand it,
did I lose you?
add to
Oh.
it. You know, do you still have me?
Yeah. I got you
Okay,
back.
okay,
Yeah,
okay. So
add to it.
you add to the tutorial, you know, and what you're doing is exactly what you should be. Because not only do you learn, but then creating on top of what you learned solidifies it more in your head. So it's a great thing to do, and it helps in all aspects of things that you're learning. Truthfully, uh, like math problems, art, just iterate on top of the lesson. So
Yeah.
that works. So for the snake project you were doing, any larger game that what you learned will come into effect?
I think the principles of what I'm learning will come into effect, but like what I'm actually doing like has zero value, right? Like there's a million
Sure.
snake clones out there.
Yeah.
Uh, and that's kind of what I was thinking. I was like, when do I just quit on this? Because like I'm running into all kinds of issues where I'm like, there's issues with like the array. There's things when I like take an array and like push it out to like a string of text, and like it's creating like a subarray. Like I showed you that where you're
Yeah.
like, this doesn't make sense. Like it's like calling like the events from the array, and it's like I'm pretty sure this is just like a quirk of gdevelop.
Yeah.
It's not like any fault of my own, because like I went in line, like I don't know, this is like kind of good. It inspired me to like go online. I like looked at how I would just program this in JavaScript, and I
Sure.
was like, it's pretty straightforward. It's nothing crazy. Like you make an array, you do a for loop, and you like call out every object in the array.
Yep.
I mean, it sounds crazy, but it's not. It's just straightforward stuff. Like you have a list of items, and then you call those
I think
items.
explaining like things make it sound like way more intense than it actually is, right?
Yeah,
So, yeah.
it's
Yeah.
you basically have a grocery list of things, and then like you do for each item on this list, just read it out to somebody,
Yep.
right?
Yep. That's
It's
very
no,
good.
it's very straightforward. It's very simple stuff. It's like it sounds more crazy than it is. Trust me, I'm not crazy. You're all crazy.
Right. It's the
uh,
children who are wrong.
yeah, and like each of those tutorials, like in JavaScript that I watched, was like 15 minutes. There's nothing crazy, It's
Yeah.
it's pretty straightforward, simple, basic programming concept, and I just don't think GDevelop deals with that shit. It doesn't like it. So I found ways to like pop things out of the list as you would do, but then there's no way to just read the list of objects to anything. There's no for loop. They have like for each object, which doesn't really help unless I
No.
can
Yeah.
call an array in that somehow, which I don't think you can.
Right.
Maybe I can do like for each array object. I don't know. I don't think you can call a variable in
Can
an
you name an
object.
array? Can you name
Uh,
it? Like
yeah,
make it a table or whatever and name it?
yeah.
So
It
like
already
a
has like
for
a name and
table.
stuff, but
Okay.
it considers it all like a variable or an object variable because they wanted to like make it easy for
So it's
game stuff.
functionally incorrect for what you're trying to do, like in
Yeah,
develop, right? Yeah.
yeah. I'm like I'm working against the structure of the thing, and like I would say 99.9% of the time, like it's just fine. It's fine the way it is, and it's actually like a smart way to do things. Like if you're making a game inventory or something, like uh, this is probably how you want to do things. But like for like this one weird ass edge case that I've created for myself, it like just kind of works against me. And I'm pretty sure there's probably smarter ways to like do what I'm trying to do as well.
Yeah.
But I just
Yeah.
I don't know. I tried different things. I kind of showed you like the process of iteration on like what I was trying to do, and like
Yep.
there's a few different ideas I still have. I don't know how much more I'm gonna put into it though. Like
Yeah.
I gave it a good day, and like it was fun, but
Yeah.
maybe just wait till a solution appears for me.
So going back to the question at hand, when do you quit?
Yeah.
um, for me, and then just for your use case, it sounds like you're at the end of the line at the moment. Um, at the end of the day, what you're working on was a learning experience, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I think that's
you
what
know,
really matters. It's like what is what you're working on? What are you doing it for? Why are you doing it? Like, is it for learning? Is it a product? Is it something you've already sold to somebody?
yeah,
You have to like
yeah,
finish? Is it like is it something you're doing as a favor for somebody? Like I think learning to say no as well to people beforehand is a powerful thing. Like
and
so,
yourself, and
yeah, and
yourself,
you and
yeah.
yourself. You're your own worst client, really.
Yes. Yes, he's the most demanding, pushy piece of crap like,
Yeah.
that you'll ever deal with. You hit the nail on the head there. I think that did you learn something? Yes. I think the
Yeah.
only exception would be if it's integral to the project you're currently working on, right?
Yeah.
How I first learned arrays was making an inventory screen and calling stuff from the inventory. It was like I made a backpack went away, you could pull stuff out of the backpack, and that was how I learned arrays, right? Because I couldn't visualize the spreadsheet that all an array is, right?
Yeah.
I couldn't.
Weird.
They're like it's like an infinite Excel spreadsheet. I'm like, yeah, I can't see that. So I made a grid based system with like an inventory, and when that went away, I called it and assigned each part thing a number, and that worked, right? It's That's how I learned it. The program I made to learn this, it has the worst spaghetti code you've ever seen. you
Spaghetti
know,
monster. Yeah.
it's ugly, but it was for a learning purpose.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
think
that's
I've
kind of like the best use cases for like arrays is like you're gonna have a bunch of random things you're gonna throw at it into your grocery list of items, and you don't know
yeah,
where they're gonna appear from, and it just has to be able to handle like any variable because like all it is just a list of variables, but like you don't know what those variables are gonna be, so you need a way to just throw it in, you
yep,
know. And like
yep,
that's the perfect use case where you have like a big spaghetti monster. You like maybe you have like some items you pick up. Maybe there's like some branches or some useless like fluff that you're picking up in Fallout that you just
yeah,
like it's junk basically, but it still has encumbrance and value like when you sell.
yep.
So you need to be able to just be like, all right, we're throwing this all in the array. I don't know where they found this, but it's just a garbage collector. Dude.
Right, right. Yeah. So that use case, that and for me, that's how I'd learn it. And actually, on to whenever I want to start a new project, like the fact that I've done some game dev stuff before, I would list what concepts I would probably need for this, right?
Yeah,
Gravity, array, AI, pathing, things like that. So I know in my head what I have to work on. So when I'm doing it, it doesn't come off as a surprise. And I see the right hand of God starting to attack you,
must be 10:30.
slowly. It must be 10. Oh my God. Bum, 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 dun,
It's
dun.
right when it gets in the little crevasse of my
Yeah. I would like the shade.
yeah.
But yeah, dude, I think that what you're saying is true that you know, you have a goal in mind, learning thing, it's okay to quit. It's okay to
Yeah.
throw that away, but take whatever you're doing and learn something from it.
Yeah,
Even
I
if you
think
did everything wrong, there's a learning experience for it, right?
and you're not going to like master a concept by like one project as well. It's like good to like dip your toes in things and like keep trying to learn and then like come back to it and get like a little bit further. It's kind of where I've gotten to this where I'm like, I don't think that GDevelop's going to be the best use case for like how I'm trying to use this array, but I learned a lot on how arrays work in GDevelop, like way more than I did before. Where like I didn't know like you had to like it has like its own like weird bracket period thing that it does just for arrays, like nothing else in GDevelop really uses that. And like that's good to know. Like, and I know where the wiki page is for that if I need to like look it up later on.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, I don't need to like be like, oh, how do I do it? I'm like, oh, I gotta go to that wiki page and like this is like the several use cases that this tool is best for. And then I could just put it right back in the toolbox, when I
Yeah.
need it for something else.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, man, it's weird. Like, and then like if it was like a project that I was working on, and I was like trying to figure out when to quit a project, like I don't know, man. Like I don't know when to quit. Like I still have like a generic quest in the back of my mind. Like I'm going to get back to that at some point, just because I have like just the final boss animation and like behavior scripts to go through. But like the game's done. For me, I'm like it's always just I do smaller like projects that I know are like don't have like a wide consumer appeal, and it's mostly just demos because I'm a dude. Uh,
Yeah.
so I don't have like lofty, crazy expectations. Like we're talking about, like with the Snake game, you're like, oh, you think it's gonna be like the next like Snake IO? I'm like, no, dude. Like, there's that. Nowhere in my head was like ever. I was like, how can I learn arrays? And like, how can I have like a fun project that like incorporates these things into it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And like for generic Quest, that was more just in defiance of Unity because like had like a bigger scope project that I was working on, and I got a lot of it done, and then like Unity just like crashed and destroyed that project. And I was like, all right, let me scope this down to like the most basic like one stage world
Yeah.
uh, for generic Quest. And then so I did it. Got it done. And that was also just kind of a learning experience where I try and learn different things. I think that's the biggest problem I have with my project is like trying to learn new shit while doing something instead of just finishing the thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it like I don't know, man. Like the single screen battle game that I made that's like basically a really casual roguelike game.
Yeah.
It just took me a week to do, but I didn't try and like push the envelope anywhere. I'm like, this is all things I know how to do. And it was me just kind of like racing to get things done.
Yeah.
Like the one thing I wanted to learn on that was like G develop. So it was like I learned a whole new software
Yeah.
that was pushing the envelope for me.
Definitely. Now, will you go back to Unity?
I just have that open. That was that 3D project I was talking about where I was like, where I want to make like a bunch of assets and like make like a little doll building thing. I was in Unity just the other day because at the start of the week, I was like, do I want to make something in 2D or 3D? I got options now, man. But out here living.
Have you tried the 2D pipeline for Unity at all? Or are you just gonna stick with GDevelop for 2D projects, you think?
I think GDevelop's just way better. Like Unity does 2D, but really not the best. Like I don't know.
There's
and then they made like another
post-mortem on how they did 2D and the issues they've had with Unity. So I understand, believe me.
Yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't. I'd rather go like try and learn like Game Maker Studio at this point than like mess with that. I think GDevelop's really good for like quick, fast prototyping. It kind of feels that same niche that like Construct 3 or like I know Maker Studio, if you know how to use it, it's also like really good at like quickly throwing things together as well.
Yep. Very true.
But I've just gotten like pretty used to GDevelop. It's free. Like 99% of the time, like it's gonna hit the nail on the head, like with what you need. It's when you run into like weird edgelord cases like me, where you're like trying to do some weird programmer problem and figure it out. Like
for sure, you're trying to figure out Schrodinger's cat through arrays. Yeah, I get it. That's good, dude.
But yeah, man, like I don't mind 3D. I was looking at it for like the last couple of projects I want to make that I have like on my to-do list are like a beat 'em up game, like a weird snake game, which I feel like I've reached kind of a dead end with, but like I know I could probably hard code in everything, which is not a big deal, but like nothing I really wanted to do, but whatever. So like, it's not like I'm messing with like a ton of stuff on that list. I'm like, I can just like hard write all 3 objects that I'm using and then like create what I need to create in it. So if I really want to, I could finish that. Yeah, it's like, is it going to be, is that juice going to be worth the squeeze? Probably not.
Right. For sure.
So I don't know. Like I've been messing with Unity again. I know like that Dragon Force clone as well. I think I want to do in 2D.
Okay.
So I already have like a couple of light prototypes of that like up and running in GDevelop. And I put those like in our last podcast, like on the YouTube video, like had them like
I saw it.
rolling. So I got some of that. I got like the movement and positioning and spawning a bunch of characters and like moving around a character. Like all that stuff kind of works. Like so like all I have to do is like create like a stat system and stuff, which would all come into like an array, probably like a table.
Definitely.
Old friend arrays, which is not a big deal. A lot of stuff I could also store in like object variables as well, like for each character, and then have like a global or scene variable that updates based on like their level or whatever.
Sure.
But yeah, there's nothing too crazy there. Like I could probably get up like that up and running. I feel like in a few weeks. It's like kind of a famous last words type of thing.
Yeah. You're only a few weeks away from retirement, and you took on this big project. Yeah, man. That's awesome, dude. You're keeping going, and for our gaming podcast, you're definitely doing the deed. So it's good.
And like the beat 'em up game, I'd probably want to do in 3D. I feel like that's just easier to do.
Yeah, less animations. Would you say?
Yeah. Yeah, because I
Yeah,
have like a library of animations and
yeah,
stuff already in Unity.
yeah. It'd be a pain in
I
the
have like
ass
I
to
think I
do.
have an asset for like a combo system maybe that I bought as well. So it's like I have a combo system, I have animations.
Sweet,
It's really just
sweet.
sitting down and putting that spaghetti monster together, dude.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. That's
Figuring
awesome.
out the meatballs and the secret sauce, dude.
Yes,
Like,
sir. Yes, sir. Let's
uh,
switch gears a little bit here. 2022 is upon us, dude. We are
it's
living it.
here.
We are living it.
Yeah.
There's some events I wanted to catch. That's definitely not a large enough topic to fill an entire episode of. But there's some exciting stuff happening in
Things
the
to touch on.
industry.
Yeah.
A couple of things. The Meta is working on
I thought you
the
were going to talk about how
Quest.
we owe Final Fantasy fans an apology
Not
for
yet,
making
not
fun of.
yet, not yet.
Okay.
Meta is working on the Quest 3 or the Quest Pro. Not sure what they're going to call it. New leaks came out saying that higher resolution, faster, or like stronger chipset is inside of it for the Quest. That's pretty big since it's still going to have the very favorable price point of about $300, rumor, and it's going to be just no PC required, just the headset. So the
Yeah.
fact that Facebook's coming out with a new thing in the same space means that they find enough stability and growth in that industry to keep it moving forward. So I think that is an absolutely huge thing. And with whatever feelings you have on Meta or how they've changed the Oculus ecosystem, you have to admit that what they're doing is good for VR in general. And I'm excited for it, actually. For the holidays, I threw Chip a copy of Half-Life Alyx just to force him to get
Oh.
VR.
I haven't even signed into Steam, bro. Like this whole week, I've just been on art books and like working on my own problems, dude.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, so I was buying stuff for myself for the holiday sale, and I'm like, Chip's getting VR. I was like, this will
At
push
some
him
point,
towards it
yeah.
a little further, So there's a copy of Half-Life Alyx sitting in there for you.
Nice. Yeah, they got the new Oculus refresh. I know, like they basically said they want to treat it almost like cell phones. It's like every year or 2 years.
So,
I
yeah,
think like every other year they want like the budget version to come out, and then like every year after that they want like their bigger pro version
yeah,
to be updated or refreshed. But who knows? Like, the best laid plans. There's only so much you can do with like that pipeline. I don't know how you keep getting the price down, but I also don't know how they do it with cell phones. It's usually like comes with some sort of service plan where you end up paying as much or more for like the same hardware, but you don't
yes,
notice it because you're
yes.
paying it monthly. But
Well, the apps on the like you're locked down to the Oculus store basically,
yeah,
so they always get a cut for whatever you buy in the Oculus store. So,
so
there
yeah,
it
maybe
is.
they look at it as like an investment with a loss leader, like they do with like that PlayStation 3 when that dropped, and they're like, yeah, we're
Yep,
losing like
yep.
$150 on every unit, but we get them locked into the PlayStation store.
PlayStation
uh,
Store, PlayStation Network, and all that. Yeah, and that's
yeah,
exactly what Microsoft does for the Xbox. It's the successful business model for all consoles, really.
yeah,
Just make the hardware the loss leader, and you make it up in games and services. The fact that online services have been like it's pretty much a requirement to play with your friends, right? So no matter what, you're getting that sweet, $60 a year or whatever to play online with your buddies.
yeah,
So and Nintendo just shitting the bed on it, but it's still, if you have one of the big three consoles, you probably have the online service for it. So that's only $60 a year. You're not just gonna play one game.
yeah.
so
Hopefully,
so yeah, exactly. So that works out. So I get
yeah,
it. I get it.
yeah. So they're trying to hook us in with this cheap hardware, but we'll see how things go. Like you said, there's like several different ways to like get out of their ecosystem because there's just some games that don't show up there, and then they also added like a weird shady part of their market now where they're like, these are other
Si-
games you don't want to know about. Uh,
yeah, you can side
it,
load things still, and
they
yeah.
have it like in their store now. They like realize people are just doing it, so they're like, what about if we just had like a shady gray market in our own store? So there's like a guy in a trench coat's like, come over here, guys, check out this stuff. And
What are
like
you buying?
yeah,
From
what
Resident
do
Evil
you
4.
buy? Yeah, that guy shows up from Resident Evil 4. He's like, what are you buying?
For sure.
So they have like a whole second half of their app store, but and then
Yeah.
like they also have it where you can like load in like the side loader as well, where you can get things off of other places like Steam or directly from a game developer
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
throw
There's
it
there's
on
a
there.
there's a like separate storefront too, just for side loading. So
Yeah.
it's living, man. It's living. Other big news, just related to hardware manufacturing and stuff. I
I
just
know
wanted to.
you're not even gonna speak on that PlayStation VR.
No, I am. That's
Okay, I thought you were gonna tie it directly into the VR talk.
well, we'll do that. We'll do that. I was gonna
Well,
say chipsets, and then I was gonna go PlayStation, but
nobody
we'll do
gives a
it. We'll
shit
do it.
about chip steps. You're bearing the lead with the PlayStation
Okay, so
VR.
PSVR 2 announced.
It's big news. Thought it
It's
was
coming this
dead.
year. It's coming what, August? I think it is what the announcement said, or the rumor. It's gonna form. You can formally use it at CES. So
Okay. Did it have the nunchucks still with it?
I believe so. Yeah,
The rave
yeah.
sticks.
Everything's been redesigned to be more ergonomical, and the field of view is set to modern trends. And
That was
they're
one of the big complaints about like the Oculus, because they have like sensors on the faceplate. It's not attached to anything. Is like it's good for like going out in front of you, but not like up. So if you like have like low ceilings, like you get your hands on the ceiling.
yeah,
Apparently, is what people are saying. So
yeah,
something to be aware of.
right. So the PSVR 2, so Sony is definitely going to be, well, Facebook probably has the most money, right? Just in general, but in
Yeah,
terms of just one division, Sony Sony embracing VR and PlayStations are already in your living room is fucking huge. You're not by you already have a PlayStation, right? Why not try VR?
yeah.
So the fact that Sony is the only of the AAA console manufacturers that that is pursuing VR is absolutely huge, and the fact that we're having PSVR 2 coming is great. Sony has softened their stance on crossplay, so crossplay ecosystems ready to rock.
Yeah, you can play
It's
with your
already
friends on
happening.
the Oculus or your Steam
Yep,
headset.
Yep. After the Fall is a game that came out by the devs of Arizona Sunshine. It has full crossplay with fucking everything. It doesn't matter. Do you
Nice,
have a VR headset? It doesn't matter which one it is. You can play with each other. That's it's so great, dude.
as it
The
should
fact
be,
that
dude.
exactly
It was so stupid that it was like that for so long, dude.
agreed,
Uh,
agreed. It
yeah,
was corporate bullshit.
yeah.
Is what it was. Um, like it's weird though because kids growing up now won't have the epic playground arguments anymore about which console's better, right?
It's all
Like,
thanks to Fortnite, man.
yeah, dude, it
Paved
really
the
is.
way.
Like, I remember like being on the playground going, "Oh, whoop that ass in Mortal Kombat." No, you won't. Play that. What do you have it on? Super Nintendo. What do you have it on? Genesis. Oh, you're fucking retard. It's just like like the insults just started getting personal after that. So,
Yeah, dude.
school guard stuff. So, um, that like that's gone. But
They're
the
just gonna
fact
have
that we have
everything.
crossplay, the ecosystems are all joining together is
They're gonna be having
incredible.
that argument in VR, dude.
They are. They
Like,
are.
what are you even talking to me on, bro? Look at your
Look
avatar
at you.
stuttering.
You're like
You must.
stuttering ass avatar, you
Yeah,
bitch. Oh yeah, it's gonna get intense, dude.
yeah.
So it's exciting, man. It really is. And PSVR 2 is just another drop in the VR bucket that keeps growing by the day, by the month. Projections are still going up as we talk. So VR is growing, man. VR is still growing. I'm excited. I'm
Yeah,
excited.
it
It's
looks like a lot
2022.
of the bigger thinkers in the space have been actually meeting, trying to collab about it, like thinking about like
Yes.
I don't know. I just watched like a GDC talk where they were talking about like the problems with VR, and like a lot of the different like head designers like all got together and like had a little powwow of like, hey, what are problems are we facing? Like what problems are, and I don't know, they're talking about like just some things that I don't think most people are concerned with, but good to think about, and they're thinking about it. So it's always a positive. Like when you can have like you said, especially with like cross-platform stuff going to like different services and like how
Yep.
people interact and like just different controls that you want to have, different personal preferences that you might want, and having that be available across like whatever you're playing, however you're playing, like
Yeah.
that's nice. That's good that they're thinking about that. It doesn't seem like they have a lot of solutions, but they're thinking about it. Like, you know,
It's coming. It's coming out. I think After the
it,
Fall is the very first game that has full crossplay with everything. It
it
just takes
definitely
one, dude.
it definitely also seems like Nintendo and Xbox are waiting to see what happens in the VR space, which I feel like everyone's still waiting for like they have one big killer app to be like, oh, this is the reason to have it. And I'm pretty sure they're probably all internally developing like VR experiences to like see what's good. And I know
Yeah.
Disney did this for years, like, and they just couldn't find a good, compelling reason to have it.
Yeah.
Uh, they figured out like ways to like implement, I think, at their theme parks, but they like couldn't take it that step forward to like a consumer say like facing piece of software. But
Well, Disney
that was
has those
years ago.
4D experiences too, like the water rides and stuff, or the ones
Yeah.
where they like blow like smoke in your face and it smells like a certain way, or like whether you're going through like a river and water legitimately legit water splashes on you while you have
Did
the
you see
goggles
their
on and stuff.
animatronic Spider-Man that they got now, dude?
Yeah, yeah.
Just flipping through the air, dude. This thing's wild.
Yeah, thing's
It could
crazy.
do anything.
Yeah, I think theme park stuff. It's a different animal, but it does lay a foundation to bring it into the home, right? Like, why do we have home consoles? Because arcades laid the foundation, you know.
Yeah.
So that's like this. The space is bigger than just home consumers. It's there's definitely a corporate usage and theme park stuff that
It
that
seemed like
it
that
can
was like the
happen.
bigger adopters of VR as well as like a lot of industrial applications for like training people on like how to deal with like oil rigs, like welding, architectural visualization, like
True.
like putting
Uh,
together like big pieces of machinery before like you get to like a site.
Yeah,
Like,
a Unity dev that I've talked to off and on. He actually only does corporate stuff like that now. He makes
yeah,
training models for a device that's very hard to train people on,
surgery
and
stuff,
and it's
surgical stuff.
yeah, it's one of those things where your life is at risk if you're trained badly. So he's just
Yeah, it's just
making
another
VR
thing.
models for it. So I think that's a big thing, and that's why VR will continue to evolve because the corporate space is seeing the pluses of it from training and stuff like that. So
Yeah, man.
you
I
know,
don't. Maybe kids won't even have chemistry classes. They're just going to put on VR goggles to
yeah,
play with dangerous
yeah,
chemicals. You know,
for sure,
they'll
or
become
even
better
like
chemists.
like biology classes, putting on the goggles instead of dissecting a real animal. Like you ever dissect the frog or whatever, or
No,
the
we had
like
like a
pig.
whole ass pig, dude.
I did a frog pig, and there's something else too. I want to say it was I want to say it was some sort of bird. I don't remember, but yeah, there's stuff to it. You can just do it in VR and save a bunch of money, and then whatever.
Really
So
traumatize these kids.
yeah, exactly. So I think it's big. Going back to like hardware stuff in 2022, uh, graphic cards manufacturers have come out and said that still no chips, boys. There's we're fucked.
Yeah,
So the chipset shortage is going to continue up to
it
like they're
just seems
saying
like
mid
collusion at this
2023.
point. It
Yeah.
seems like collusion, and then like I guess some people were hoarding chips as well, so they're trying to figure out like who was doing it on their pipeline. They're like, we're pretty sure people have just been buying shit with like no intention to actually use it. They're just like
Yeah.
hoarding them to like resell later on,
Yeah.
and they're just like stockpiling.
Yeah.
So they're like trying to figure out like who on their like chain was just stockpiling stuff. But like I
Yeah.
would say like anybody with a brain's probably been doing that. Like like why wouldn't you? Like if you're already there and you have the means and you run a business, and
True.
you can like be
True.
like, oh no, we lost more money, give us more free money, government. Also, I
Yeah.
have like 2 years worth of chips sitting in my warehouse now.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
I don't know.
The with that, and Intel is getting into the graphic card game, which I don't know anybody who's going to buy that, but it's good to have competition for it. Hopefully, it's good. Nvidia and AMD are still battling at the top of the mountain.
I would say
Um,
Intel probably has the ability to make the biggest impact because I know they were talking about this the last generational refresh, which was they want to like redesign the chip architecture for how it, like interfaces with the motherboard, and they want to get rid of like
yes,
the whatever it is, where the AGP2 or whatever.
they've been using the M2 slot for graphic stuff.
Yeah,
It's actually, or they've used it for RAM stuff, but now they're using it for graphical stuff, which is pretty incredible. It's a high speed lane, so
and like
we'll
this
see.
last graphic card refresh, they're talking about like they're gonna have to redesign motherboards because they wanted to have it slide in like a CPU almost instead of the way it was before because they're like, oh, it's basically a mini computer you're putting on a computer at this point,
Hmm.
and there wasn't enough bandwidth, and they're thinking that was going to be the next big hurdle for how it interfaces. So Intel, I could see actually being able to design like the motherboard, the CPU, and like a graphics card all in one type of situation, but they probably won't. They'll probably stick with what's working out there. I'm
The
saying they have
problem,
the most
right?
ability to
A
impact the.
big a big problem is Intel integrated graphics always suck ass. So the fact that they're making a dedicated GPU, um, there's no trust for that because when I hear Intel
Yeah,
and I hear graphics, I'm like, that's going to be butthole.
yeah.
More power to them. Competition's good, but I don't see it. And then, like you said, they wanted to restructure how GPUs are made, how they connect to the motherboard, and stuff like that. They can't even get their chipset lower than what was it, like the 10 nanometers or whatever.
Yeah,
AMD's at like 7, and then Intel fucking can't do it. They just don't
can't
know
do
how
it,
they're.
boys.
Yeah, so there's some logistical things that I just don't trust it.
I could see them
Um,
working on maybe some sort of ARM processor or something, some sort of cell
yeah,
phone
right,
graphics card
right,
chips. That seems like that's the space everyone's been trying to get into as well. So
yeah, we'll
yeah,
see how
more,
it
more power
goes
to them, I guess. Like you
for
said,
sure,
competition's good. Like I never
for sure.
count Intel out on anything. I think they got a lot of innovators there. They got a lot of just knowledge.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
it's called the
yeah. Their engineers are top notch for sure, for sure.
yeah.
Uh, and with that said about the graphical chipsets, but here's the weird thing: consoles are slated to have a big shipments coming in March, May, and July. That consoles should be available. Like they're saying, there's still a shortage, but more and more, I'm finding people in my own friend group, social group, are have one of the new consoles, right?
Yeah, I think the people
Um,
who really wanted one are the ones who were eating up that early
mhm.
dribble, and now like when the big shipments are going to get in, it's like I think you have to worry about maybe scalpers, flippers, but
Yeah,
I don't. I think that's what everyone was blaming the shortage on before, but I don't think that's the majority. I think it's like a very small group are
yeah.
out there flipping these
Yeah,
things.
I was gonna say like on launch and throughout the summer, it was tough to get one, right? But then
Yeah,
in a matter of weeks, I personally got a PS5 and an Xbox Series X within 3 weeks of each other.
yeah.
You know,
Like when I
which
wanted an Xbox, it took me like 2 weeks to like get one from like a major just
yeah,
department store
right,
of
right.
Target.
Yeah, I got my Series X from Walmart and I got my PS5 from Target. So the two
Yeah,
biggest retail chain stores like in the country, and they were there.
you just had to
Um,
like check and like reserve it and pay for it
yeah,
online.
and
But
now
it's a lot of blind
Xbox
trust, really. You're putting it in the system.
Xbox's leasing program, or where you get a loan through them. And that's the way to get an Xbox right now, dude. You can get both. So life hack, have
All
good
right.
credit, right? Get the
That's
sign up
just
for a
a
loan.
general life
They send
hack.
right, they send that to you, and then there's no penalty for paying it off early too. So you can just get the loan, pay it off immediately, and then you have the
Yeah.
console, right? It just gets shipped to you. My coworker, that's how he got the new Xbox for his kid. He's like there's none at stores. He's like, oh, it's available from Microsoft directly. He got it in 3 days, dude. He just on a whim,
Nice.
like he just
Yeah.
fucking yeah, I'm gonna get one. He had no idea about the shortage. He had zero idea. He's not a
Yeah.
gamer, and he just got one. I was like, wow, that was quick, dude. He's like, yeah, why is it not
I
supposed to
almost
be?
feel like these consoles should do like a eBay style store for like their first level when they start rolling out the first few off the production line and just be like, hey, to avoid people just like flipping and scalping these things and avoid people having to wait out in the middle of the night and stuff, we're just going to auction off the first like couple thousand, and it's going to be whoever has the most money can do it, and like just have them staggered out and just keep doing that for like the first month and then like do a full rollout. So that way the
Gotcha.
assholes who have like all the money get theirs and they don't waste everybody else's time by like buying and
There's
flipping them.
I think there's consumer rights laws with that though. I
Is
don't think
there?
you could, because you have to abide by MSRP if you're the company. Um,
But they set the MSRP, right? How
they
did they
do,
get
but you
that
can't.
kick-started like Jabba the Hutt thing? You know what I'm talking about? Like Hasbro's been doing basically like Kickstarters for like their things. I guess it's
Right.
different because it's like a set price.
Yes.
Uh
Yes. Because you have to get it approved by government agencies, and then they ask for the MSRP, stuff like that. So if you're auctioning it off, and the funds are going directly to that company, that's where there's an issue because you're
it
inflating your
seems
own
like
price
the
for no reason.
I don't think it's for no reason. I think it's like a supply demand reason. Like it's like we have X amount of units and we believe the demand's here, but like clearly it's way above because they're selling out everywhere. And like we need to readjust this, but there's no good way to like adjust the value of this on the fly other than people buying it and then reselling it.
You're getting into some consumer rights issues, and just there's going to be such bad PR for any company that does that.
I think it's a great move.
It's like they're a bunch of greedy assholes who just want more money. So
they do. But you know what they can use that money for? Making more consoles faster. You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh, but that's not where it goes, dude. It goes right into the
my
yacht. Yeah, exactly.
Goes to my second yacht. All right, exactly. That's fair.
So with that being said, new consoles on the horizon. If you're still looking for one. Keep fingers crossed. In my own life, I have someone who got one in a couple days. So there's methods.
They're out there.
Yeah,
I don't know, just patience. If you've already waited this long, what's a few more months when they drop out the next big thing?
For sure.
There's still only like a few killer games. I would say Halo's out there now. Ratchet and Clank. I think is there another good Sony certified hood classic out there?
Certified. Horizon Forbidden West comes out next month, which is going to be fucking huge.
Horizon.
You got your Elden Ring comes out next month as well. It's cross-platform, but that game's going to be a fucking banger too. So
and like Nintendo's steady been putting out just banger after banger. So
true.
I think their Pokemon Icarus drops in a couple months as well, a month or two.
Yeah, 2022 is gonna it's gonna shape up, dude. It's definitely gonna shape up. New God of War obviously coming.
It's like everything's like a couple months away, and then like a month after that or two is when they drop more of the consoles.
Yeah.
So
well, keep in mind,
if you're already at this far, like like, you're good. You're not missing out. You're not missing out.
In gaming, there's always a lull. Summer is the fucking dog days of game releases. After June, nothing comes out. Like you're waiting till August, September, October. So you have 2-3 months where nothing's coming out. So you'll be all right. Just saying, guys, you'll be all right.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
With that, man, I think
the grass is always greener. Save your money. Keep it simple.
For sure. With that, man, I think that does it for today. Chip, anything to add today?
Just live and let live. I don't know.
This man's quoting James Bond right now. Live and let die.
Good law.
For sure. And on that note, I'm Mr. Gimpy.
Chipmunk.
All right, you guys have a great time. Like, share, subscribe. We will see you next week on the Combo Wombo. We're out of here. Later, guys.